In this video, I'll show you how to make an AI-based lead qualification calling system for your real estate business that calls the cold leads in your CRM. So hey everyone, my name is Arslan Abed. I'm a software engineer with over 12 months building automated calling systems for real estate businesses. So if you want me to build an automated calling system for your real estate business, then feel free to book a meeting with me using the link given in the description below. So now without wasting any more time, let's begin this video. So first of all, you have to create retail AI account. Once you have created the account, just create an agent. So let's start with single prompt agent and let's create one. Okay, so here we have the prompt. If you want, you can copy the prompt. The link is given in the description. You can use that prompt. So first of all, we have the identity and purpose. This is very important when you're creating a prompt. You first have to give the identity, then the voice and persona, like how you like it to speak, the speech characteristics, call context and dynamic variables, conversational flows. So if you want, you can change it according to your needs. Then we have the welcome message, like who should speak first. Now, if you want that the AI agent should wait for your user to speak first, then you can select user, otherwise the agent. I will suggest you to keep it with user. Now, according to my personal experience, I've noted that in some calls, if you select the AI to speak first, it might speak at the start, even if the agent has not listened it. You don't want it, right? So I will suggest you to keep it as user speak first. It's a really safe approach when you're starting to create a voice agent. Always tell the other person that it's an AI agent. AI starts speaking after silence. So do you want your AI agent to speak in case the user is not answering? So we can say, or you give now functions, or some people call it tools, are like the capabilities that you're giving your AI agent. For example, you want the agent to transfer the call to your manager. You can give that functionality to your AI agent as well. Let's suppose you want it to check for calendar. It can check the calendars as well. Let's suppose you want it to search the data through websites. It can do it as well. In order to check the website, you need to create a custom function. Similarly, if you have any custom scenario in your mind, in case there are some certain operations that happens in your real estate company, then you can create some custom functions for them. Next is knowledge base. So in case you have some company data, you can add it here. Just click on this add new knowledge base button. Then inside the knowledge base, we have the advanced settings. For the chunks, I'll suggest you to keep it as low as possible. And another thing is that if you want to add, let's suppose you have the property data of your clients, of your leads, and you want to store it somewhere, in that case, you can store it inside your vector database. Now, why I'm suggesting you to store it inside a personal vector database is that it gives you a lot more flexibility as compared to retail. Now, if you don't know, retail has some limitations on its knowledge base, and in order to store, you can say hundreds of Zillow properties data, I will recommend you to store it inside a Postgres PG vector vector store, because it will allow you to store each lead's property data separately. It will not only help you to get the correct data, but it also get you data really fast, especially if you're running it on your own VPS server. Then we have the speech settings. In the speech settings, you have the option to add the background sound, and I've seen many beginners adding background sound in their calls. Now, don't get me wrong, but I've noted that many leads find the background sound as a noise, and they don't want you to speak in the noise, right? It will be really hard for them to understand. I would suggest you keep it as none. Then we have the responsiveness. For responsiveness, I will suggest you to keep it at 0.7. Try to keep it between 0.6 and 0.9, and it will give you really good results. Then we have interruption sensitivity. I will suggest you to keep it as high as possible. Now you can test it according to your scenario, but according to my experience, it's not as good as I was expected it to be. Then select the enable back channeling. I will suggest you keep it enable back channeling. Allow your AI agent to speak along as the user is speaking. So let's suppose user is telling about his scenario. The agent will say, yeah, you're right. So I'll suggest you to keep it enabled and add frequency as medium, or you can state it as low, you can add these words like yeah, right, or if you have other words in your mind, add them as well. And then we have enable speech normalization, enable it. And if you want to give pronunciation guide to your AI agent, you can add it as well. Just click on this add button, add the word you want to pronounce right. So let's suppose in Turkey, people name John. So they write it as CAN, but they pronounce it as JAN, John. This is just one example like how pronunciation works in retail AI. Add the pronunciation to help your AI agent speak well, right? Then we have real-time transcription settings. Now it's very important. Keep the noise removed. Now most people have seen that they also remove the back speech. Don't do it because just I've told you before, the transcription of retail, even though it's real fast, but it's really bad at sometimes detecting. So we don't want to take risks, right? So I'll suggest you to keep just the first one as enabled. Then we have to optimize for speed. Now for me, speed is really important because we are not only uploading company's data along the conversations, we are also loading the Zillow properties data, right? So at that time, when you're loading big data, there is a chance that the response time can get slow. At that time, we want speed. But in case you notice that the accuracy is not working well, then definitely go for optimize for accuracy option. Okay. Then we have the boosted words. Now, in case you know that there are some words that your transcriber can fail to understand, like some people have not a common name which they can call, you can add them here. Similarly, we have end workflow. In my end workflow, when we are making the retail call, here we have the boosted words. Let me see. Now here, as you can see that we have boosted keywords in our end return node as well. When we are making the phone calls, I would suggest you to add the customer name, especially here, so that when you're storing his name in the transcription, in the final transcription, you have his correct name, his correct email as well. So you can add his email as well here. Let's say I want to add his name. I want to add his email as well, right? So yeah, you can add many names here if you want. If you want to make it dynamic as much as possible, I will suggest you to use this this JSON that I've provided in the description below. You can use it to make your retail calls. Then we have call settings. Now in the call settings, we have the voicemail detection. I would suggest you to keep it enabled. Similarly, I'm hanging up a voicemail, but in case you want to leave a voicemail, you can click here and write the voicemail you want to leave. User keyword input detection, no, we don't want it. And call on silence, I would suggest you to keep it as in less than 1 minute. Then we have max call duration. What should be the max call duration? Now, most of the lead qualification calls or cold calls don't go more than 8 to 9 minutes, right? So I would suggest you keep it as 10 minutes. Then we have call ring duration, keep it as 30 seconds. Then we have the post call data extractions. I've noted that Utel's post call analysis don't always work well. So I would suggest you to just leave it and add it in the end workflow you're making. And I've added it in my end of call workflow as well, and I will show that later. Okay. Then we have security and feedback settings. So let's suppose you have the now this is really important for the businesses which focuses on privacy of the users. We can allow retail to store our calls data, but for some cases I'll suggest you to keep as basic attributes only. Now here we have to define what do you think is really personal data of your lead. Like it can be his credit card, his bank details, or maybe you don't want to store his phone number. Maybe you don't want to store his password, right? Then we have the fallback voice ID. Now here we have to provide the voice ID that we want as a fallback in case our voice get broken, in case the voice AI provider, let's suppose we are using OpenAI or maybe Cardacia or 11 Labs as our voice. In some case, if it don't works, we need to have a backup, right? Then we have the webhook settings. Now here you have to provide the end of call webhook. So you have to provide this webhook URL inside this section and save it. So now let's see how you are making phone calls in your N8N. So first of all, we have two triggers. First is a scheduler. So once a specific time arrives, it will start its operation. Then we have the webhook to make the call. So let's suppose you have a form on your website and you want that once a user fills a form, he gets the phone call. In that case, you can add this webhook URL on the website. In that case, you can add the webhook URL, and whenever the user put his information, this webhook will run this workflow. But in case you have a CRM, I'm using Follow Up Boss as my CRM. But if you have a CRM, let's suppose you have HubSpot CRM, you can use HubSpot and get the contacts if you want. But as I'm using Follow Up Boss, so I'll show you how to make calls using Follow Up Boss. First of all, you have to open this HTTP node and set the get as the method, put this URL. So I'm getting all the data from the specific smart list ID, and I've given the smart list ID as 46. Once I will run it, it will get me the smart list data. But in order to get this data, you first have to give the headers as application JSON, the X system name, the name of the X system. You have to give the X system key, and you also have to give the API key, which is stored inside this bare auth authentication. Then we are using pagination because follow-up post only allows us to extract 100 users at a time, and in case you have more than 100 leads, we have to use the pagination. So let's suppose you have 10,000 leads data, it will fetch all these 10,000 leads and split them one by one. So we are using this split out node to split these leads, and then we will use this loop that will take all these 1,000 leads and one by one call them. So before making the call, we also want to store their data. Why? Because there could be a chance that the call could be cancelled by any reason. Maybe retail is not responding, maybe anything could be occurred, right? So we should have the record of the last call we made, right? So in that case, we can use Google Sheet to have record of the calls we have made and those who have already been called. Then we will filter out the leads with their phone number. So let's suppose the lead has given a wrong phone number in a wrong format, it will detect it. But in case the phone number is correct, we will take the lead and run this retail node to make the call. To make the call, you have to use the method as post, use this URL to make the call, and you also have to give the API key of your retail. So to get API key, you have to first give authorization as the header. Then in the value, you have to write bidder and then your API key. Just copy the API key from the settings and paste it here from the settings of retail. Then enable the send body, and okay, so in order to make the call, you first have to give this whole body in order to make the call. But these three things are the most important. From where you are making the call, so it should be your phone number, then the number you are making the call, so this will be your customer phone number. Then you have to give the agent IDs. Keep in mind to give the dynamic variables because we are using the dynamic variables. We are using the customer name, we are using customer email, customer address, his social profile, and if you want, you can give the Zillow data as well in this section. But again, if you give Zillow data, the property data inside this prompt, your prompt can reach up to, you can say 3 to 4,000 tokens, which is again a lot for agent to perform correctly, and it can make errors. So I would suggest you to store the property data inside your vector database. So I'm using this HTTP node to store the data inside my database. Now it has a lot more confidential data, so I'm not going to show you. And then we have a WAPI node. So let's suppose there is an error when making a call using retail, because you know that a few months ago there was an outrage from retail. Yeah. So at that point, most of the people were moving to WAPI, or maybe you can use 11 labs. I will close this loop so that it will run one by one so that all users are being called. Now, in order to insert the calls, I have told you before that we are using our self-hosted vector databases, the Postgres PG vector database, and we are using OpenAI for creating the embeddings. After inserting the data, we can get it through this workflow. This is just a very simple workflow, so you can use it if you want. I will give it inside the description. Then we have the delete node. So in case, so after the call, we have to delete this data because we don't want to have a lot of properties data. But if you want, you can keep it. Okay, you don't have to use a delete workflow. Then we have the end of call report. Now this is very interesting because here we have a webhook that will be triggered as soon as your call ends. Once the call ends, we will be using this node. Now once the call ends, we will be using this HTTP node to run this API key from a retail to get all the calls data, because I have noted that most of the time retail don't gives you all the data in the webhook. You will just have to give the call ID here and just run this operation. And once you run, you will get the calls data. When you get the call data, you will also get the call transcript. That's obvious, right? So once you get the call transcript, now you have to give it to this AI agent that will take the call transcript, gets your current date and time. In case it's storing an appointment, you need the current date and time, right? And then it also has to extract the fields. As I told you before, Retail is not good at giving you the end of call variables. So in that case, you can extract it yourself using OpenAI. You just have to use the any cheap model that will work, and then you have to use output content as JSON. Now this is very important to output as JSON, and also make sure to write in your prompt that you want the output in the form of JSON. Here you can see that I am also providing the transcript. What type of data I want? I want, was the call successful? Was the appointment being booked by the agent? What was his email details? What was the appointment details? What was appointment date and time? Have the AI agent answered his queries? In case he was failed in some queries, we will get those queries, and we will store them inside our CRM, or we can email to our agent to store them. Yeah, then we have the call statuses. Now in call status, we see through the transcript that whether the user was interested, he was not interested, he was busy. Let's say he picked the call and he said that I'm busy. In that case, we take the date and time to call him later. And let's say he canceled the call. In cancelled, he just never picked the call. In that condition, it will be. Now, after getting these statuses, we will first delete the vector database, which I already told you before. We will run this API key to our vector database to delete the data. And then we have the switch node. In switch node, we have 5 scenarios. If the user was interested, not interested, cancelled, the call got cancelled, or he didn't pick it up, or he was busy, or irrelevant. In that case, it will be set as irrelevant because we don't want to make a call. So first, if in case the user was interested, we first see that did he booked an appointment. In case the answer is yes, we will see did he had any queries. If in case he didn't had any queries to be answered, in that case we'll just send an email to the user that his appointment is being booked. Similarly, we will also update on our CRM that the new that the user has booked an appointment in the followable CRM or your any personally liked CRM. Okay. In case he had the queries, in that case we will use OpenAI to write the email that we can send to the lead, that his queries are being sent to our realtor, and he will answer your queries soon. And at the same time, you can send the message or WhatsApp your realtor that a user has some queries, please answer them as soon as possible. Now you can also handle this situation by transferring the call to the human agent, but most of the time human agents are busy or it's not their office hours. And then we have another node. So in case the user didn't book any meetings, didn't book any appointment, in that case we just want to store or add the data that user was interested but he is not comfortable to book an appointment right now, right? Then we have not interested section. So let's suppose, so when the user's transcript says that the user was not interested in the call, in that case we want to make a request to the follow boss that the user was not interested. We should reach him maybe next month or maybe 2 3 months later, right? We can send the email to the lead that we understand that you are not interested right now, but we will reach you after 1 or 2 months. Then we have the cancelled section. Let's suppose the user never picked the call. In that condition, we can send him an SMS if you want, but also just keep it at email. So we can send him an email using OpenAI. Then we have the another section in case user say that he was busy, then we can send him an email that we will call him tomorrow or maybe a day after tomorrow or on weekends, right? whenever you want to call them, right? All right. Then we have the irrelevant section. So in case the lead was irrelevant, you have dialed a wrong number. In that condition, we will set the follow boss status as irrelevant. So that was the video, friends. If you want me to build an automated calling system for your business like this one, or even better than this one, then feel free to book a meeting with me using the link given in the description below. You can also email me at my email address. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Good luck.